Here we want to solve for x. We have 16x squared plus 25 equals 0. So I want to start to solve for x, and we can take this approach of just solving for x by like solving an equation. So let's get x to one side. I'm going to subtract 25 from both sides. I get 16x squared equals negative 25. And then I'm going to solve for x squared by dividing by 16. And I get x squared equals negative 25 over 16. So now I'm kind of like, all right, what do we do from here? So we have this x squared. And I couldn't like set up like a difference of 2 squared. Like if this was 16x squared minus 25 originally, I could have just done a difference of 2 squares and factored it that way and then solved for x on 2 different factors. Like that would have been cool. But this is plus 25, which is not a difference of 2 squares. So that means I have to just go through my process of solving for x squared. And then now I want to solve for x by taking the inverse of x squared, which is taking the square root of x squared. So I'm going to have x equals, a couple things are going to happen in this process. I'm going to have the square root of negative 25 over the square root of 16. So you could do this like as the square root of negative 1 times the square root of 25 over 60. It doesn't really matter, but I'm just going to write this as the square root of negative 25 over the square root of 16. I'm just going to tack on that negative with the top term. And again, it does not matter at all where we put that. You could put it with the 16 or just take like a square root of negative 1 off to the side. But anywho, we're going to have square root of negative 25, which is going to be I. Take out an I. And then the square root of 25 is 5. So 5i over square root of 16 is 4. But our answer isn't just going to be 5i over 4. Our answer is going to be plus and minus 5i over 4, because if we have this as negative 5i over 4 and we square it, we will get our answer of negative 25 over 16. So either if we have positive 5i over 4 squared or negative 5i over 4 squared, those being squared would give us back to negative 25 over 16. So that's why we have to have that plus minus 5i over 4. And let me just break this step down one more time. So here I could have had the square root of negative 1 times the square root of 25 over 4 over 16 like that. And then that would have been I times 5 over 4, so 5i over 4. So a couple different ways you can think about that. But yeah, this was not a difference of 2 squares, so I had to just solve for x. And that was really the only method that I could have used, at least probably the most straightforward method that we could have used. Could have used quadratic formula, but again, like that's a lot more work than just solving for x squared here, the way that I showed it. But quadratic formula would be perfectly fine.